Let me thank you all for coming here today. Um, I'm going to present a topic so important for all QA teams, QA leads, and game production teams, which is achieving stable test automation for Unity mobile games. I will start off with some agenda. First of all, the first part will be less technical. I will tell you something about test automation 101. Why should we do that at all? What should we automate? What is the best time in the project to start automating? And what are the market options that we can use to achieve test automation in a project? Later on, we will get a bit more technical. I will tell you something about how to write automated tests and go through the classic page object pattern. And I will tell you also why I think it fails in the modern UI's automation. I will move smoothly to our take on arrange, act, and assert pattern, and to later on finish with AI augmented automation, how AI era enters test automation, what kind of tools are on the horizon. Are you ready, guys? Yay, let's start. A few words about me. I'm a senior QA engineer. I already have 7.5 years of experience, 4 years experience in gaming. I'm working in 10 Square Games. I've been part of projects like Football Elite. And right now I'm working in Fishing Clash with my amazing team. I'm also studying AI engineering after work. Okay, so let's start with test automation 101. What can I bring to your project? What kind of test cases should be automated? What are the market options? Okay, so let's see the key benefits from test automation. First of all, you are going to shorten your release cycles and save some time. When you have automated test cases, you can run them on many mobile phones at the same time, so they are running simultaneously, so you speed the testing up. There's also a key benefit, improvement in regression test case repeatability and reliability. When you automate a test case, it is always done by an automated bot in the same way, so the repeatability is 100%. So yeah, and the test cases are also more reliable. And finally, when you automate test cases, you make QA testers' lives easier because you shorten their work, and also you automate the test case that can be mundane and repetitive for them. So let's move on to the topic of which test cases should we automate. So the key points is that the test cases need to be repetitive and constant in terms of player flow. It would be hard to automate something like checking, for example, if models are 3D models are looking nice, or if the animation is nice, if the playing the game is fun, or something like this. All kind of that stuff needs to be done by a human. What automated tests are best in are regression test cases and functional test cases. Test cases, when you start automating in your project, you will not be able to automate everything, so you should pick tests as first that take the most time to do manually. And also, I see the value in writing automated tests for bugs that appeared during your release cycles and returned at least once. So when you have one release cycle, you have a bug, it was fixed, another release cycle, next one, and the bug has came back, it means that it is good to retest it every release. It's kind of low cost to do such a bug retest case, but a kind of good value. Disclaimer to this, there are some providers of test automation that promise to automate also some non-functional test cases, like for example, visual regression AI-based tests. However, those are all, for now, suited only to mobile apps and not for mobile games yet. Okay, so next up, what is the right time in a project to start test automation? It's not the very beginning of a project. We've had it in 10 Square Games that we tried to start test automation very early, but it doesn't bring much value. Why is that? Well, if your game is during the prototyping phase or playtesting, you don't have a stable feature set. You will just spend a lot of work and time to automate stuff that later you will need to do again. So best, in my opinion, it is best to first start with manual testing. And when you already have a product that is online, it's on stores, people are downloading, you already have a product that needs maintenance. And your QA team can also spot test cases that are repetitive, that are done the same way every regression. That's the right time to start. I don't mean building or starting a framework, for example, setting up everything, but clearly starting automating your first test case. That's the right time to do it. And what are the market options? There are plenty of them. I will show each kind of product that you can use. First of all, I think the most popular one is the alt tester Unity plugin, accompanied by a client library. You have many programming languages to choose from when you build something like this, and it involves building your own custom framework. So since alt tester is just something like Appium or Selenium, it's just a driver that allows you to automate stuff, but it doesn't guide you. It's not a full framework that tells you how to write tests. Second option, kind of interesting, is Fire-based test lab. It's a different approach because you don't build your framework that is a separate project. Instead, you can write tests directly in the Unity project in C#. And the tests are being run by Fire-based test lab. All the test case management running on devices is managed by them. Third type is the premium service. One of the most popular services is Kobiton. It recently paired up with Game Driver, which is also another solution similar to AltTester. It's a recent cooperation. They promise to provide a lot of stuff, AI augmented tests that I will tell you later about. And the cooperation is kind of recent, it's not yet ready. However, it's good to observe that because I think that from the paid services, this is something I think the best in the market. And also kind of popular, AirTest by NetEase. It is also free and open source like AltTester. It's a solution based on image recognition. However, it also has an option to get the game tree and interact with game object, just like AltTester does. Okay, so key takeaways from this part. QA test automation, first of all, streamlines your game development. It really makes it faster. It makes QA testers work easier. You should automate mainly regression test cases and functional test cases. You can try to do automation of different ones. However, I do not recommend it. And you can choose from a lot of options and approaches to automation in general. The paid ones, the free ones, yeah. I will now move on to the more technical part and start off from describing what is page object pattern and what is our lessons learned from working with it. In general, page object pattern is a code design pattern. It's just about abstracting the views that we are trying to automate in a game to separate classes. It was proposed in 2013 by Martin Fowler. It's the first question that you get on the recruitment process as a QA automation engineer, if you know that pattern. It's pretty established right now. So who likes to see the lines of code on the slides? Okay, some of you like it. Good, because you'll see them anyway, so let's move on. Page object pattern tries to fix problem like this. We have a test, we have a driver, for example, Selenium, Appium, or anything. And as you see here, we directly call elements, we seek for them in a test, and then we assert things. Page object is something that allows to encapsulate this stuff in objects that resemble pages. You have methods that you call, interact with the UI, and assert. It looks kind of nice. It seems that you don't need nothing more. Here's the depiction of all of this. AI-generated game on the left. It's not real game. But I wanted to show you that you have a class, for example, main screen. Don't look at the base page Fishing Clash because it's not Fishing Clash. As you can see, you have a locator for some button, and for example, a method that does clicking on the button. It looks neat. It seems it's everything you need. This pattern says that we should contain locators to elements and all methods to interact with a specific view in a single page object. We should return page object every interaction methods. So it enables chaining methods for easier, more flexible development. And that page object cannot make assertions. And I also really support this rule. In general, assertions are reserved only to test methods, not anything else. That's a good practice. And why is it failing in today's world? I have found out that this pattern was mainly good in the era of more static web pages, less animated. When you clicked something and the web page would just load up, and that was good because it didn't involve much of movement. It focuses only on grouping locators and those interacting methods, but it doesn't guide the developer how to write those methods so that the interaction is secured. But what do I mean here? What does it mean that interaction is secured? Automated tests are bots. When coding an automated test, we need to imagine it's a robot that tries to mimic a human, but follows the test case very, very directly. If you will not tell it to do something explicitly, it will not do it. So let's take this really simple test case as an example. Press equip button and check if an item gets equipped. Pretty simple, right? What would we need to tell to a human tester, and what would we need to tell to a bot tester? Any ideas? Human tester, what would we need to tell? Okay, no ideas. Just do it. Exactly. Nothing else to say because the test is pretty simple. Nothing else to say. Human understands it. However, your bot does not. And you need to tell it to find the button, find the equip button. If the button has an entry animation, you need to tell it to wait for it to finish before trying to press it. To press the button, then you need to ensure that the action that it did really worked on the UI. To lastly ensure that the item was equipped. So this is the secured interaction. All those steps involved here. And you need to do it actually every time because games are heavily animated. Each time that something pop-ups on the screen, most of the time in the mobile games, it's moving. And automated test tools work in the way that just when it loads up in the scene, it finds it, it tries to interact with it. So we need to secure those interactions. Second point is that your tests are meant to be run on many devices, many hardwares. many processors, older, newer Android systems with system lags, different speeds, and you cannot write flaky tests. So everything that you do should be checked by the test itself. So how can we achieve that? Should we secure those interactions in every method the same way? Is it smart? Well, it can be done like this, but the best option is to define the types of interaction that you have, from my experience. Take out common logic that you can out of page object to another abstraction, and leave all the rest that needs to be left in the page object methods. Let's think about what a robot does when playing a mobile game. First of all, it presses UI elements to transition between the screens. It presses elements to make a change on current screen, like adding items to counter or filling up the text field, something like that. And also it needs to save some data to evaluate it later. So those can be actually really easily translated to 3 basic actions that I also extracted. Transition, perform, and save. Pretty simple. And that's how we move on to the next topic, which is our take on arrange, act, and assert. You know that pattern? It is pretty known from unit testing. It is made up of 3 parts. Arranging means setting up test data, setting up objects that need to be used, and performing anything before the core test logic. For example, when you have a test that checks in something with a specific player, you may log the player into the system before entering the game, obtaining some data before, or something like this. The act part is the meat of the test, I would say. It does all the interactions with the game that should be done, and collects all data to assert, while assert part merely asserts everything that the test has collected. And when I was working with this pattern, I came up with this idea to divide this act part to those 3 main commands. It's our code, actually the older version, but pretty straightforward. You can see 3 distinct parts. First one is actually arranging containers for data. Second one is the whole logic. As you can see, mainly it's just a list of steps. Each of those is just a class that is responsible for doing performing a specific action: perform, transition, or save. And the last part is asserting. Pretty clean looking code. Those are those 3 commands. They don't know the internals of the page object method. They just use them and test their effect. So that's how I didn't know that I used command pattern in my code, and I discovered it later. And I will show you what did I mean before by saying that we are extracting common logic. For example, here, when we have transition action, we don't need any kind of method in the page object. All we need to give to it is just a locator to a button. All the logic done by this transition is in this class. So we are reusing the class every time we do a transition. We don't need to think about it anymore. Second type, saving data, it's pretty straightforward. You have a method in a page object that is cooperating with this class, and just getting data. It can be done in any moment of the object lifecycle. And the most general one is perform. It's doing a change on the screen. And here I came up with something that I call reassurance pattern. These are 2 methods that are cooperating with each other. As you can see, this is a method called equip lure, for example. If the button is visible on the screen, we press it. We ensure that it disappears after that. So this is securing the interaction. We are checking if our press is effective. However, if it doesn't work, if the pressing is not working, we are wrapping it up in a public method that retries it up to 3 times. This enables actually working in each case on a faster phone, on a slower phone that, for example, doesn't read the first press of a button or something like this. This kind of code is nice. However, when the tests gets longer and longer, it's a bit. It started to become a bit too long. It's pretty straightforward. We have just a list of steps. So I came up with another abstraction here, which is strategy. So our test now looks kind of like this. You have strategies that are responsible for bigger parts of logic. We reuse them in tests. And for example, such a strategy like enter game as new player has a defined method, and it has all those 3 types of action done here. And it involves builder pattern for better dev experience. I love it to really right now to write those tests. Performer on some page, do something, transition from to pressing element, and it's really easy. All right, so we are coming to an AI augmented automation. If you have any questions regarding those, please write them down. We will have a bit of time after the presentation to answer them. Okay, so what is the AI era meaning for us? Well, traditional way of working and writing automated tests will probably be over soon. So I have been researching through the web to see what are the new things, and I will tell you something about what I think is the most valuable right now. Both the solutions that are targeted towards test automation and totally unrelated can be very useful. I mentioned Cobiton here because it's a provider that seems to have the most comprehensive offer. But even though they are promising to have no code test generation, automating tests fixing and visual regression tests, it is all right now ready only for mobile apps, not yet for mobile games. They promise to provide it soon. Second thing, very interesting, it is a project on GitHub called App Agent. It was published just 2 weeks ago. It promises to be able to learn to play any kind of game or use any kind of app just with human demonstrations or self-exploration. And it just later you'll just talk with it like with ChatGPT. You tell it, for example, catch a fish, and it knows what to do because it builds its own documentation. And I really look up to this one to try it out soon. Last but not least, Multi on AI. This is a premium service right now focused on web browser automation. However, they do really similar thing to App Agent, and I think that they will also move on to mobile devices. They promise to provide intelligent agents that you talk with like a human, and they understand what to do, and they just do things. All right, our take on AI. We are experimenting with a very simple solution right now. I have come up with this idea that when our tests are passing, we are saving cache of the found elements to JSON files. When, for example, the developers make changes in the code, the game tree changes, and we cannot already locate the elements, we send this cached data alongside with the elements that are close to it on the scene right now, and we ask ChatGPT to answer which is the lost element, and we'll use that prediction to post a code fix suggestion on Slack. Right now, if it will be successful, we will be also able to re-edit the code and auto-fix the tests. But it's in alpha testing phase right now, so we are checking it out. What I want to try out as I told you, is App Agent, which seems very interesting project. But also there is a possibility to train your own machine learning pipeline, for example, on Google Cloud. I'm right now learning how to do it, and I think this is the best way also to try to build your own machine learning pipeline, train a classification model with your game screenshots so that it can recognize elements, and those kind of tests would be the most stable that you can achieve. Okay, so key geek takeaways. Classic page object pattern alone is not enough to write UI tests that are stable. You need more design patterns in your code. Automated test bot need detailed instructions on how to verify interactions with the tested game. So you every time the bot interacts with the game, it needs to verify everything actually. That's the only way to make it stable. And the third takeaway is that comprehensive AI solutions for mobile games are not yet ready. However, there are already exciting tools that we can use to build our own solutions, and maybe one of you will do it. Thank you very much.